Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Puck Watching. In our last episode of USA hockey coverage, I'm in a hotel room in Dallas. That's a story for another day. But I'm still in America. I'm still proud to be an American because yesterday was the day of all days, Nick. The United States of America at 7 in the morning played the Canadians, and then about 3 hours later came to after the game to be victorious. Unbelievable game. Nick had a wild ride that we're going to get into. Mine wasn't as wild on Sunday, but Obi Clark's Nick, I think, fears you for eternity after what you put that place through on Sunday morning, starting at 6 a.m., by the way, in line when I saw on the Instagram that you were there. So walk us through this and how you survived that day and how you come here today in celebration of a huge one.
Yeah, the Obi Clark's was conquered completely yesterday, but on Friday night I was out with a couple of guys who you'd probably see in Instagram videos, and we had this idea that we were going to wake up early, tailgate, do whatever outside of Obi Clark's, make sure to watch it there because there's just no other place to be to watch hockey in St. Louis outside
Correct.
of Obi Clark's. Um, and we didn't know exactly what the scene was going to look like or if there'd be a line or whatever. We got there around 6 and brought a speaker, started blasting Freebird. Everyone's ready to roll. And then it started to get really crowded outside. And then they finally opened the doors around like 6:50 or whatever, like 25 minutes before game time. And the crowd and the tension was just really noticeable. And it was super intense the whole time. But we'll talk about the game obviously more, the players, the stats, but I don't want to be hyperbolic, and it might be just a recency bias, but there's only a couple of sports moments that I'm like, I think that is the happiest I will ever be in terms of watching a sporting event. And I loved 2019. There's probably a couple TCU football moments that I can remember that are fantastic and memorable. This one it's different. It just felt really different after they ended up winning. You had Four Nations last year. That was literally the perfect setup for this hockey game, and played in a great tournament for the last 2 weeks. Also, just a breath of fresh air to not watch the Blues play hockey, and you get to watch your country instead and players that you actually don't watch a lot. And then all of a sudden they throw in that USA and wear the stars and stripes, and then we're talking about 1980, and it's been such a long time, and it built up and built up and built up so much. And I don't know if there is a better sports moment for me than what happened yesterday in Italy. So that's all I'm gonna say about how I feel about the game. It was really the most incredible experience I've had. So just no words that can do it justice on what transpired yesterday at Obi Clark's. I think we may have lost Luke. He's going to have to join in a second. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot to unpack about this game. Obviously on Friday, they had the ability to play Slovakia, and which was kind of interesting because Slovakia had the ability to play Germany, and then we got lucky in a sense, but we also had to beat Sweden in the quarters, obviously, in order to achieve status and get the semifinal appearance. But that was a good game. It never was particularly close, so it was very tough to, I feel like, take it all that seriously, just given how wide the margin was there. But again, it was a great game, and all roads led to playing Canada, and Canada barely escaping the grips of Finland. Again, had another comeback in the third period, and it was quite something to have a rematch and what happened in the Four Nations last year. And of course, this one means a bunch more. And I'm sure a lot of Canadians would even admit that as well. And you had number one and number two going up against each other on the seedings basis, and what happened in Four Nations stuck in the brains of Americans and players, uh, a lot. So it was a recipe for absolute cinema, and what we were able to have and watch as a world, especially US and Canada. Yesterday morning was just an incredible opportunity and truly great for the game of hockey. Um, but there's a lot of stuff that happened yesterday. The game was by no means the smoothest and best game I think the US has ever played, but boy, oh boy, it was an absolute uh, gem of an outcome, that's for sure. So, yeah, I mean, there's a ton to get into before we actually talk about the game per se, and we're still waiting on Luke. Not really sure how his Wi-Fi situation is at his hotel. Um, but to start in terms of the agenda here, yeah, we obviously had a tough time against Sweden. Sweden was a really good team in that quarterfinal on Thursday, or excuse me, a few days prior to that. And great team. I thought the U.S. took a lot of their foot off the gas, rather. And it looks like we have Luke back here. How we doing? Are you on here? Can you hear?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yep.
I don't really know how long this is going to really last here.
Can
So,
you hear me?
but hopefully you guys can hear. What?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, this is.
He cannot.
I can't.
No.
All right, we're so.
um yeah, we're still having technical difficulties over there with Luke. Um so he's gonna hop in and out here. Kind of a nightmare of a stream. That's all right. Um Yeah, but we played in Sweden, go up 1-0, and I thought they had the better of the play for a while. Of course, Sweden made their runs, but then we really decided to sit back, I thought, in the third, and Mika Zibanejad eventually gets that equalizer that just sneaks past Hellebuyck, and we're getting an overtime game in a quarterfinal where it seemed like maybe this fairy tale wasn't meant to be. Um, and you let up a late goal and you don't really have the momentum, and then overtime comes in and Quinn Hughes plays for a couple minutes straight on in the overtime stretch, and then eventually carries the puck down across the blue line, does a little dance, fires a wrister that goes off the post and in. Just an incredible shot, an incredible play, and Quinn Hughes is an incredible player. There's so much more respect for someone like Quinn Hughes, who is just an outstanding defenseman. And I would be absolutely jumping at the bit, or chomping at the bit rather, to have someone like that play for the Blues. But he's incredible player, and he made a great play to move us on to the semifinals. And then we got the ability to play Slovakia, and Canada had to go up against Finland just due to the seeding. And Slovakia had lightning in a bottle at that point, though. Are you there?
Yeah, okay, I think this is good now.
All right, you can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just talked about the Sweden game, eventually just capped it off with Quinn's shot at the end, put us over the hump in overtime. And I was just mentioning the Slovakia game and their moments in that one, but it wasn't a particularly close one, obviously.
Yeah. Okay. So just a quick breakdown, by the way, of where I am. I want to backtrack before we get into Sweden and everything. But I'm right now in a hotel lobby. I started out in my room. The Wi-Fi was horrible there. Then I tried to join again from like a more of a media room, and then that didn't work. So now I'm in the lobby, and that's the best Wi-Fi that I can have so far. We got 4 bars going on in my bottom right of my screen. We'll see how long this lasts. But right now, so if you hear all of the noise right here, there's a reason why. I see the elevator right in the background. So kind of embarrassing myself here, but I'm here for the love of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So got stuck in Dallas, by the way, um, for a connection. I was in New Orleans this weekend, and then I'm now back, trying to go back to Boston, but a big blizzard is happening right now. 18 inches of snow. I think it's the most like in since like the 70s when it comes to like most in like a short amount of time like that. But anyway, that's my update. That's where I've been. And so when I was in New Orleans, though, I didn't get to watch the Sweden game. That was the one game I didn't get to watch like mainly throughout. So I'll defer to you on most of that. But from what I noticed in that one, it seemed like that Jacob Markstrom just played an absolutely outstanding game, and that the U.S. was kind of having trouble just kind of getting through to that through him. I will say though, I thought that Sweden had some isolated chances throughout. They didn't capitalize on those until the Zibanejad goal, obviously in the last part of that third period. But I was overall impressed with the way the U.S. played, and considering the makeup of the Sweden team, what we were talking about in the last episode, just how like that top six is very even to the U.S. That they matched up in that first and second period. I thought that they outplayed them for sure and were the better team. But again, like that's just off of a highlight reel from what I saw. But obviously the overtime kind of capped it off with Quinn Hughes. But uh, yeah, I thought that was the one game where it's like, especially after Sweden, has a tough road to get to that quarterfinal game. They ended up, I'd say, just playing pretty well in the game. Obviously, not well enough, but I was a little nervous about that going in because, all right, this team's gonna have a different chip on their shoulders, and they definitely fought back until the end, obviously, but it wasn't enough to get past Quinn Hughes, my bro, who is just was one of the MVPs of this team. Obviously, I think if we had like a ranking of it all, it'd be like a top five. He's easily in it alongside his brother. Um, who had the biggest goal, but he was Quinn obviously had the big one in the Sweden game. But I don't know what you thought though going into the third, or into the third period of the Sweden game, and just kind of overall how you felt about it, because I thought they played pretty well from the highlights.
Yeah, I thought they played well for a majority of the game, but they absolutely did take their foot off the gas in the third period. I
Yeah,
thought that
that's
was
what I
really,
noticed.
really, really obvious in the last 10 minutes.
Yep.
They did not try to generate anything offensively. They were really
Mm.
content and just playing in their own D zone. And to be fair, their defense played well the entire tournament, so it's not necessarily a horrible strategy just to rely on your defense. And Hellebuyck, who also just obviously had a fantastic tournament as well. But they did park the bus a little bit too early, and they ended up paying. Sweden really took it to them in the last 10 minutes, big
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
and they ended up having to pay for it. However, I didn't necessarily feel like it was we're done for, but of course the momentum certainly was
Yeah.
upended after that goal was scored by Zibanejad.
Yeah. So you thought that again, I get that feeling obviously during the game, but so it seemed like that after that goal you were a little nervous after going into that overtime, just the way the team was playing in the third.
Yeah, I mean, they hadn't really done anything offensively in a long time, so they're going to have to figure out what, they're going to be doing differently. Of course, 3-on-3 is really different, so it's not necessarily, one's going to feed into the other because there's just significantly less players on the ice and a lot more space. So,
Yeah.
wasn't necessarily concerned with it. I still think we had better individual players for 3-on-3, so I didn't really
Oh
feel
yeah.
that bad about it, but they played really well in the overtime period. They didn't let up really any high danger chances, and they had a lot of chances themselves. And then obviously Quinn was able to put us over the top, and we were moving on.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty fitting ending for me, and I would say with the other point I would have about the Sweden game is that it further confirmed kind of whose net it was as well. like Hellebuyck, as you said, obviously you had that one Swayman start in group play, didn't turn out to be much of anything. You obviously had another option there with Ottinger, but with how Hellebuyck played in the group play, you knew that you would definitely rely on him at least toward the quarterfinal game and see what was going to happen there. But that game, I think, pretty much set it in stone that he'd be the starter from here on out. And I know that there's probably never really a thought in the U.S. side of things, or there was probably gonna be another one. But I think for me, it further solidified it, especially looking at that third period, as you were saying. But yeah, but the offense and the overall team resilience, I think benefited from a game like Sweden, because you obviously are from the point forward of group play, like you were going to be facing opponents that were pretty hot or obviously really skilled teams. And you get the Sweden team that is very skilled. They didn't have a great group play, but you expected something that would really rival this American team, and you got it. But they were up for the challenge, and they faced a lot of adversity in the game, I think, as you said in the third. But the overtime said it all, I think, about the skill of this team, that there was really nothing that was going to stop those guys, because I think that you're right. The 3-on-3, the opponents and the matchups, I think definitely favored the Americans, but it was just a matter of who was going to score it. And Quinn Hughes calls off that like little change that he was about to do on the U.S. side, and it's like, no, I got this, and just puts it away. I think that's the coolest thing that I've ever seen, like in a moment like that. I mean, just totally relying on him and knowing that he can do it.
Yeah, it's really cool. And Quinn Hughes is no stranger to, making big plays. He's done it to the Blues at least one time, from what I remember. And he's just an absolute incredible hockey player. And I was talking about it while you were out, but he's truly a difference maker on any NHL team you'd put him on. And having him on this team was such a big deal, because we obviously weren't able to have him in the Four Nations tournament last year. So he just made such a significant impact for us.
Oh yeah. I don't think that there would be a Team USA without Quinn Hughes that has a gold medal. I
I
don't
don't think
think
so.
so at all. Like
No.
here, like I don't want to discount a guy like Jackson Lacombe, who didn't play a single minute for the Americans on defense. But imagine if Quinn Hughes was injured in this one, like he was in at Four Nations, and you had Lacombe playing those minutes. It's like maybe they would have found somebody different, like Hudson, to play in that role. I think it's an entirely different thing, but still, like imagine if not having him, like especially on the power play that was so good throughout the entire Olympics, and even just like 5-on-5, like the guy ate so much ice time for us, and there would have been no chance at least I'd say, be as good in the first and second period against Sweden without him, but also like to kind of stay in that game offensively against Canada. Getting that first goal, like he had an assist, I think, on that one. So he was crucial the whole every step of the way. So, and I think we all expected that too. And I know he was like your guy when we were talking about we're really looking forward to see Quinn Hughes. And it makes me think like, wow, what a huge asset that Bill Guerin has on the Minnesota Wild. Obviously, we all knew that he was a big asset, but I don't watch Minnesota Wild or Vancouver Canuck hockey. I don't see it only when they face us, but I see highlights of them. That's really cool. But when you watch it consistently for what, 6 games, like all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I guess this makes sense why you pay an arm and a leg, like 2 steep prospects and a couple picks for a guy like him to be on your team. Makes a lot of sense. So Quinn Hughes, my boy, I love it.
Incredible. Yeah. And just the Slovakia game, I really didn't think this one was ever really in doubt.
No.
It was kind of back and forth for a little bit there in the beginning, but they really started to pound Slovakia.
Yeah.
In the later part of the first and into the second. I know they scored 1 or 2 goals. I never really was concerned about
No.
this one once we scored our first goal. Really props, though, to Slovakia for the run that they made. And I know they weren't able to medal, but good sign for Dalibor Dvorsky to look pretty good in his first Olympic appearance. And was still only 20 years old. So good sign for him. But I thought the U.S. played extremely well against Slovakia on
Yeah.
Friday, and I didn't think the game was ever in doubt. So that's kind of my overall thoughts on that one.
I wouldn't just say that Dalibor Dvorsky was good. He was excellent in the games for sure. I want to pull up the exact stat because I don't want to get it wrong. But from what I looked at it, it seemed like that he was the most. Yeah, here we go. He was not only great. Dalibor Dvorsky is the most has the most points by an NHL rookie in a single Olympics with NHL players. Dalibor Dvorsky, 6 points. You know who he beat out? Alexander Ovechkin.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, yeah. Alexander Ovechkin, Sami Vatanen, and Ali Mata or Oli Mata. So obviously, like the two other names on that list, I'm like, that's not a great list. Like, not that impressive to be over those guys. But hey, you're beating Ovechkin on some list. That means that you're doing something right. At least I think.
Yeah,
Uh,
he had 3 goals, 3 assists. I think he actually did post a -3, which is kind of weird.
yeah,
But obviously great stats for someone that young and in great company and the
yeah.
best of it. So
And what impressed me the most about that, though, isn't just the fact that he's got 3 goals, 3 assists, or whatever. It's that he doesn't really have much of a team around him, and he still did that. Like, you can't name me more than 5 players on Slovakia. And if he was on Team Sweden or Team Finland, you're like, okay, I guess it would make sense because he's got a bunch of players that he's playing with that are good. But I can think of maybe Thomas Tatar, who was the captain, who had the only reason why he's coming on top of mine is that Jack Hughes goal where he comes from the point, makes that move around Tatar, and just snipes one in the upper corner. That's what I thought of on top of mind. But and then obviously Sivkovsky, who was one of the top point scorers of the tournament, and then Dvorsky, right? So like, there's a couple other guys mixed in there. I don't want to discount that, but still, like Slovakia is not the team that any of the other teams that were in the at least the semifinals and even the quarterfinals, by the way, some of them like you'd put even more Switzerland over those guys. You'd put obviously Finland and Sweden and maybe even Germany. Like those teams are definitely held in higher regard. So it was the underdog story of the Olympics. I think we can easily say that, and it's awesome that a blue was in that and was making a huge impact on it. But yeah, I mean, when we were going into the game, I'm like, this should be a really easy ticket for the Americans to win the game, no doubt about it. Um, but there's always, something where you think about, it's like, all right, Americans could play down to the Slovaks and then could be in a close game, especially knowing how hot they were going into it. So, because it was kind of like a pretty easy road for them. They were kind of really surprising some opponents, and then they lost that Sweden game. But besides that, like they were really cruising. But you do what you need to do in that game, and those 2 goals at the end that they scored were garbage. Like they didn't. It was garbage time goals. Didn't matter. But I don't know that Jack Hughes play is just I continue to replay that in my mind because we talked about Quinn Hughes earlier, and it's like okay, like Jack Hughes, not even in the gold medal game. Like let's not even think about that. Like the guy was insane. And he was playing on the fourth line for a lot of this tournament. And now the fourth line in terms of the United States, international team is completely different from a fourth line in the NHL. Like you're playing with guys like Dylan Larkin and JT Miller. That's no fourth line really, but it is the fourth line on the United States. But the guy was a +8 in the tournament, and he had the two goals in the Slovakia game. He had that one obviously from the point where he had that nasty move around Tatar. And then the other one was a one timer off the boards off a wide shot from Mowinski from the point, and then he just on the one timer puts it right past the Slovak goalie. So um, obviously, the Canadian game, the Canada game, is the epitome of everything of Jack Hughes's play. But I think it's a surprise for me just to see him play lights out with what he did. He was injured for a long time this season. He was getting so much flack too. It's like, how do you injure your wrist so much just having dinner, whatever? And still nobody knows really the story on that. So he was kind of already had a bad rap. And then he comes to the Olympics and it's like, wait, Jack Hughes is scratched in practice? What do you mean? Like something's wrong here. And then you see, oh, maybe that was just rumors or whatever. So he gets to start in group play, and then he plays really well in that first game on that fourth line, that big pass that he was a part of with Brock Nelson. He does that, and all of a sudden you're like, wait, there's something in this guy, and he showed it throughout the whole tournament. So that's my little Jack Hughes spiel. I know I already had my Quinn Hughes spiel, but I mean, the two brothers just were absolutely pivotal to the whole win.
You should have saved your Jack Hughes spiel for the next game.
I know. I should.
No, I feel the same way about Jack. I mean, I listened to all of his pressers yesterday too. I couldn't have more respect for the guy. That whole story with the glass, I don't even know what happened to his hand.
Nobody knows, dude. Nobody knows.
That was very funny. And then I think he's like dating Tate McRae now too. So it's another storyline. But
Canadian,
what?
She's Canadian, Tate McRae.
I know. Yeah. He's had a kind of tumultuous last couple of years. He's gotten hurt. He's missed a lot of time. He's effective when he's playing generally. But I wasn't really familiar with Jack Hughes. Really. I don't watch the Devils. So I just don't really watch Jack Hughes or his brother very often, or his other brother very often. So it just was a blast seeing really, really talented American players playing hockey. But you can't write the story of Jack Hughes in this Olympics without talking about the game against Canada. That's what wrote his legacy for this Olympics. And it's just incredible to think about for him and for everyone in the States and on that team. But I don't know if you want to jump into that right now or keep talking about Slovakia.
Well, I don't think there's much else to talk about with Slovakia. Like I didn't really notice much else in that game. Like, you had the Hughes 2 goals, and then you had the that Tage Thompson goal, by the way, as well from Eichel. And I thought that, again, it doesn't show on the score sheet as much as it should, but Jack Eichel was also an unbelievable player for this U.S. team in the Olympics. Again, he doesn't really have that. Like, if you go to his stats right now and you look at Eichel, it's like, like he's our first liner. Like, he doesn't really get a lot of points in the league. And you're right to say that, but at the same time, he's such a valuable asset to have in this team, and it showed. His puck handling ability is miles above anybody else on the U.S. team. That's not like trying to absolutely rain on everybody else's parade on the American side, but it's true. He's one of the most skilled players out there every single time. He may not score all the goals, he may not get all the assists, but he's wild out there, and you love seeing him play. So then obviously he played on that. He got that goal to Thompson on that power play, and that power play unit, the first one, was lights out the whole tournament. And Tage Thompson was like, wait, why is he playing with Matthew Tkachuk, Brady Tkachuk, Jack Eichel, and obviously Quinn Hughes? It's like, that's kind of an odd one to put on that first unit, but you realize kind of why. He had, I think, 2 power play goals. That was his second in the tournament, and just was also, and I even said him, by the way, in my preview. It's like, keep an eye out for Tage Thompson. And luckily I was vindicated, because that was kind of a bold assertion to make in that preview episode that I was talking about. Like, I think it was pretty confident of you to say that Quinn Hughes was going to be a good player for the United States in the tournament. Like, he definitely went above expectations. But Tage Thompson, it was like, really good for the Sabres, but has never really done anything much. And at least is on the Olympic stage, obviously, but done a little bit in international play. But yeah, I'm yapping on and on here about Tage Thompson and Jack Eichel, but I think it's true, right? Like they're such valuable assets. I'm sorry, like it's so distracting in this hotel lobby. I have to say that. But anyway, sorry.
No, Tage had a good Olympics. He definitely did more than what I thought he would do. He didn't do much yesterday. Again, though, that that I didn't really have the expectations for him to pump any goals.
No, no,
This was
not
gonna
in that type of game.
had to be a low
Probably.
scoring affair, I think, if the US was gonna win a game like that, and that's exactly what happened. But do we want to get into the game officially with
Yeah,
what happened
yeah,
against
yeah. Let's
Canada?
do it.
Yeah, we're about 30 in. So the opening stretch of the game, I thought Canada kind of took it to us early. I thought we really did battle back. We did end up getting a good amount of chances, and then I mean, Boldy just completely embarrassing Cale McCarr
And
and
Devontae's.
Devontae's. And I texted my buddy John Kane, the Abs fan, and he was like, "This is I love seeing them get burned, love it." And I'm like, "See, we don't have to be loyal to our local clubs right now when our countries are playing against each other." Um, but Boldy, I mean, he kind of solidified himself as a legend of United States hockey. I mean,
Oh
that
yeah.
goal was absolutely unreal. It came at a critical time because once you get that goal, you have breathing room. Canada's going to come at you. You can let up a goal, and you can still think that optimistically about where you are in the game. So what an incredible goal. I don't know if you have the highlight up, but
Yeah,
it was a
I
sight
do
for
actually.
sore eyes.
I do actually, but before I pull it up, I did want to ask though you, what did you so you said you were you got to Obie Clark's at what about you said 6 and like waited in line until it opened at 7. So by the time that game time started, like how many beers have you had?
I don't really remember. I mean, all of that.
That was the point to get you to say that.
Once you crack open a beer before 7, you kind of already get really drunk. It's like coffee, but in the opposite way because you're like,
Okay.
wow, how do I already have a beer in my hand? And you're already so tired.
Okay. Okay.
So maybe a couple. I'm not really sure,
Okay.
but by the time it was over, it was a
Yeah.
full 12, maybe.
I can imagine just those beers just going right through you at this Boldy goal, man. Just watch this magic. And like again, one of the goals of the tournament, by the way. Oh, I got it sped up here. Let's 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 watch this in full real time because I want to highlight this again here. Well, no, we can stop sharing it for this moment. But my point was with the Boldy goal, and Eddie Olczyk was. Why are we doing this here? Eddie Olczyk was talking about this in the like the analysis of the play, like that the way he lifted it up and like put it up in the air. That's such a bold play already. Like no pun intended, by the way. And you chip it past not any Canadian defenseman. This is no Colton Parayko. This is no Drew Doughty. These is the two best defensemen on the Canadian roster, Devon Taves and Cale McCarr. And the absolute tenacity and the will to do that is really insane. And I wasn't watching at that point of the game, but because I was still waking up. But when I saw the highlight of that, it was magical to see that. Because like that's a goal that a Canadian would score, not an American. Because we don't have the skill like that. But she showcased it. So lovely, lovely.
Yeah, not very often you're going to be able to split some of the best
No,
defenders in hockey and
not normally.
score on Jordan Bennington on a breakaway too,
Yep,
just to cap it off. But
yep.
incredible goal. Boldy also had a good Olympics. Young, exciting player again. He'll be on future Olympics to come, so that's amazing. And then once that goal happened and the first period wrapped up, I think the shots were tied like 8-8 or something like that. And you're like, all right, you're playing good hockey. This is exactly what you need to do. Those next 40 minutes were not comfortable.
No.
Not at all. And Canada really, really ramped up their pressure. Their offense started to really click. And you have to have goalies and defensemen step up and make massive plays in order to prevent goals. And that's exactly what Connor Hellebuyck did. It's exactly what Charlie McAvoy did. There are several plays that you can point to that utterly saved the U.S.'s gold medal dreams. And also some things that Canada wishes probably they had back
Oh yeah.
as well. But
Are we not gonna? I mean, yeah, it's definitely that. But the thing that I look at for what they need to have back is the Nathan McKinnon.
Yeah, that's the big one.
Excuse me, that's a play that a Blues player would miss a good amount of the time. Like think of like Pavel Buchnevich in that situation. Like
Yeah,
wouldn't be
he would
wouldn't
miss
be
that for sure.
surprising if he misses
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But not as but maybe a tad bit more surprising if Nathan McKinnon misses that. Like if Nathan McKinnon is missing that, I'm not sure if anybody else in the league is gonna find a way to get that goal. Like it was absolutely like jaw dropping in the moment for me when that happened because like the momentum of the game after that first period, like it really was all Canada, and all these like I was really on one on Twitter yesterday after you went out and I kind of took over. I'm telling you that Twitter was going nuts anyway because all these Canadians were complaining and all of that, which was funny. But they were all like, "Yeah, this game like could have been so much different. Like it was all Canada's game. Like they missed a too many men call, whatever. Nathan McKinnon misses that. Like, okay, complain all you want, but you missed your chances today. That's all it was. Like, it doesn't matter if you outplayed the team. Like, look at the St. Louis Blues, man. In 2019, Bruins were probably better, but it doesn't matter. Like, it just doesn't matter. Like, again, you get the high ground all you want about all that, but it doesn't matter. And so I don't like those arguments, especially coming from the Canadians. But obviously, they're the most skilled team that's probably ever been assembled in tournament play in the Olympics, let alone pretty much of all time. So yeah, the Nathan McKinnon thing was insane. I will say though, talking about Jordan Binnington in the game, you said it, we said it in the preview episodes, and even in the group play, we talked about it. Jordan Binnington, like, okay, maybe he's not going to start. Maybe he's going to start. Okay, he starts. Wait, he's actually playing sort of well, and they continue with him in the bigger games, quarterfinal, semifinal. He's like fine, not crazy. In this one, like there was so much in me where I was like, don't do this to me again, because this was reminding me of Four Nations, but with much higher stakes. And there was a couple moments, by the way, in that game where the U.S. had some one-off chances in the second and third period. Like I'm thinking of like a breakaway goal or a breakaway chance in a maybe isolated odd man rush that he comes up big in, and he saved it a couple times. Not to say that he was the guy who like it would have been a totally different game without him, but he had some big moments in that game. I think they're going to be overshadowed with how Connor Hellebuyck played in the game too.
No, he had some good save. I thought he played well. He stopped 26 of 28 shots, which is generally like a pretty good stat line, good save percentage. His biggest save though was absolutely against Quinn Hughes in overtime.
Yeah, it was Quinn Hughes. That's what it was.
If Quinn Hughes gets that a little bit more elevated, maybe he doesn't save
the glove.
that.
He gets the glove. Yep.
But it was regardless was an incredible play by him, and I thought that could be the game there if it saves it, and then you have McDavid going down the other way. It always makes you nervous in 3-on-3, but thank God that wasn't it. You had obviously more chances.
Yeah, no, to me the Binnington save against Quinn Hughes was again that moment that I was saying earlier where I was like this is bringing me back here to things I love to look at as a fan of his, but then as a person who was rooting against him, you don't like to see because you just kind of see that guy like slowly rising. It's like he builds up too. Like it doesn't just happen like throughout the tournament. Like there were times where he just did not play well, but in big games like this, he's that guy. I don't know if you saw Jim Montgomery's quote that he was talking about it. He's like, well, I think Canada's got the better team, whatever. But I think a sneaky suspicion that the U.S. is going to come up with it. Although Jordan, they have the better goalie, I think. I'm like, wait a second here. Okay, Connor Hellebuyck, 3-time Vezina winner, Hart Trophy winner for Jordan Binnington, Stanley Cup winner, and that's it. But Hellebuyck doesn't have that cup. But I can tell you right now, Connor Hellebuyck is going to absolutely be known as a very different player in the eyes of a lot of people now in the history books. Obviously, I was one of those people, I think, after Four Nations last year where I was a doubter because he definitely didn't play well, especially in that Canada game. But he played well at other aspects of the tournament. Just people have such recency bias with things, obviously. And, he doesn't play that well and people blame it on him. But um, this proves it all wrong because he carried this whole Olympics for us. He made some big saves in the Sweden game. Slovakia didn't matter. The group play, most of it didn't matter. But the game that did, he stepped up for the challenge in a big way. And we wouldn't have won the game without him. It's that simple. So you would have
Yeah.
put anybody else in net too, like Swayman or Ottinger. I'm not sure if you're winning that game. I really don't.
I think for the U.S. to win gold, I think you needed Connor Hellebuyck to play like he does in the regular season almost every year.
Agreed.
And the biggest problem that Hellebuyck has had and that has plagued him for his entire career is one, probably being a part of Winnipeg. They just, don't have a lot of success in general. And two, he does not play well in those higher stakes games generally. It doesn't mean he's always played badly, but he has definitely had struggles. And against the Blues last year, that was very obvious that
Oh yeah.
psychologically he just wasn't playing. He wasn't there. And
Yeah.
he was letting in some soft goals time and time again. He stepped up to the plate, and I just have so much respect for him now. Like I can't believe that he stepped up that much. He had a 9.57 save percentage for the whole
Insane.
tournament. He had, I think, 3 or 4 goals saved above expected yesterday. He played
That's a
really
lot.
well.
Wow.
Of course, all the demon on the United States were fully committed to helping him out as much as possible, and I think they tried. I just thought Canada was really locked in. That was probably the best game Canada played, outside of finishing the puck.
Yeah.
But you had McAvoy diving in front of the goal to save a goal that was about to actually
Oh yeah.
go in.
Oh yeah.
And you had Hellebuyck throwing his stick out
Yep.
to stop the puck crossing the goal line. I forget who the Canadian was that had it.
Yeah.
So there was just such a mixture of things that happened, miraculous plays that he made or our defenseman made, and then it all led to one shining moment where Connor McDavid's flying down the ice. Jack Hughes doesn't even know what to do, but he's just going to try to stop McDavid, maybe shorten the ice, and hopefully Hellebuyck, hopefully McDavid doesn't have enough space where he can try to get around Hellebuyck, make a move, and then eventually he does end up getting stuffed. They get the puck back,
Yep.
and then the rest is history. Werenski to Hughes, back to Werenski. Werenski passes to Hughes for the ultimate game winner and a gold medal. It was just a sight unseen, just incredible.
I will say before I get into my celebration at that point with the Hughes goal, I will say every moment in a big game and a big series always has a defining sort of moment. And I think of in 2019, you think of the big save from Bennington. Remember in that third period on Joakim Nordstrom, right? We'll always remember the save that Bennington made in that game. Obviously, he was good overall. And then you think of Bennington again, like in the Four Nations, right? That big save in overtime to keep the Canadians in it. You can think of moments after moment. David Freese in 2011, right? I think of the Hellebuck save with the paddle in that game. I think that's the moment. Jack, you can say the Jack Hughes goal, obviously, but it's 3-on-3 overtime. It's a very different level of hockey. Like, if I'm the Olympic Rules Committee, I would maybe consider a change in that. Obviously, I'm going to enjoy the win as much as I can and the gold medal because this is an awesome feat. But this game would be very different if it was 5-on-5. Like maybe the U.S. had absolutely a chance to win the game 5-on-5 too. But I almost think it's like not an unfitting ending to put it 3-on-3 in a tail against those two foes like that. Um, but obviously, again, I'm going to gloat as an American all I want after a win like that because Canada
Yeah,
definitely had the upper hand too in that having 3-on-3.
they did. I mean, I don't care if you change it. You can change it all you want, but Canada has the 3 best players in the world,
Yeah,
and they were
yeah,
all on the ice together. for that 3-on-3. So I really don't want to hear excuses about how 3-on-3 sucks, though that should benefit them
Well, that's
really,
not what I
really
was
well.
saying.
No, I'm not saying you, but I'm
Sorry.
saying that is certainly a narrative that is developed on social media.
Yeah.
And even the Canadian players and coaches have like sort of insinuated that. Not to say they're trying to take anything away from the U.S. winning, but it's like you guys have the greatest, trio of players. 3-on-3 should be right in your wheelhouse, and they had already won in overtime in this Olympics. So it's fine. I don't really care about that point. I don't even pay it any mind. But I was going to say too, like the PK of the United States is just one of the greatest. It's one of the greatest special teams I've ever seen in a stretch of games. Like, I mean, what were they, 18 for 18 in penalty kills in this tournament?
I think it
They
was
had
18 for 18, yep.
5-on-3 for a minute and a half. Canada did. Jack Hughes goes to the box in the last 2 minutes of the game, commits a penalty, and then we have to kill it off. And the Canadian power play scored at like a 50% clip.
Oh yeah.
In this tournament already, and they are so lethal when they have a man advantage. And the penalty kill, just time and time again, JT Miller, Trocheck, Hellebuyck, like just playing fantastic, diving on the ice, trying to clear the pucks. Like it was just an incredible thing to see, and just full commitment from those guys.
Eddie Olczyk said it on the broadcast when he was doing his analysis before the penalty kill happened, when they went 5-on-3 in the second period. And I thought that this team was screwed after that. It was still 1-0, by the way, at that time. And Eddie Olczyk says, this is going to be a 5-on-3 for Team Canada for a minute and 33 seconds, which is probably going to feel like 46 years. I'm like, yeah, I think that's pretty accurate to say in the moment. Because 46 years, obviously, to the day, by the way, since the Miracle on Ice in 1980. And yeah, it definitely did feel like 46 years as a bystander just watching it. Because just imagine, like, 5 Canadians on the ice with Cale Makar, Nathan MacKinnon, Connor McDavid, all of these players out there just going puck to puck, pass, and just praying that doesn't go to the back of the net and that Connor Hellebuyck stays strong, which he did. And by the way, it wasn't that good of a 5-on-3. Like, they had one really good chance. Besides that, like, you expect Canada to have like 6 of those in a minute and 33 seconds with a 5-on-3. So that was probably like, you can talk about the paddle save, the Hughes goal, obviously the Boldy goal, and the tying goal from Makar. But the most pivotal point of the game was definitely that 5-on-3, because you already were kind of backs against the wall momentum wise at that point, but you kind of proved to the Canadians that, hey, like, you're not going to be able to score easily on us, even in your pretty much your best spot, which is the power play, and a 5-on-3 like that. Yeah, you're right. I think they were clicking at close to 50%. So for me, that was the most pivotal point, close to the paddle save. But that was so impressive by the penalty killers. And by the way, one more point: Bill Guerin vindicated for that JT Miller and Vincent Trocheck pick. Penalty kill going perfect. Like, he's got to be just praising from the rooftops after that pick, because like that could have gone a lot of different directions. But it's like, they're gonna put them on that role as a penalty killer, really supporting the U.S. Not only were they good, but they were perfect in their roles.
They were. They played such a critical role, especially in the game yesterday. But I also was extremely worried when Jack Hughes committed the penalty with like a few minutes to go.
Oh yeah.
And you had Canada, almost for the rest of the game is going to be a man up. And you're like, oh my gosh, there's no way this is going to be how it ends. Jack Hughes commits a high sticking penalty with 3.5 minutes to go, and Canada's going to score a power play goal to win.
Yeah.
I was very worried about that one. And then right before that, though, was when Sam Bennett took he committed the high stick against Jack Hughes, and he ended up chopping off half of his tooth and was all bloody. So that was a picture for the ages, right? But when the overtime started, I thought the U.S. did a really good job, and then eventually led to the Hughes goal, and just an incredible feat. What an accomplishment. But also, like, one of those things when you saw like Quinn and Jack and Austin Matthews in the presser drinking beers, having fun. He was just celebrating the gold. You also just can recognize, are you playing? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just an incredible picture of what just transpired.
I'd
Like
put that up for the rest of the pod. I should have put it up earlier.
I
Like that
have it.
is
I have it pinned on
good.
Twitter. It's just incredible though, and Jack Hughes is just an absolute legend from here on out. But when you see like Austin Matthews and those and Quinn and Jack all up there together, you can just see, the love and the chemistry they have with one another, and the youth development programs at U.S. Hockey just bringing together the best and brightest and making them spend time together where they actually have a lot of chemistry off the ice as well, and they actually care for each other. And when that reporter asked that, loaded question to Matthews about how he can bring a winning culture back to his other teams that he represents, Toronto, and the Matthews is like, just let me take this day by day and enjoy the goal, blah, blah, blah. And then both Jack and Quinn are just like, saying the same thing. Like Austin Matthews is a winner. He's a champion, and he led his team to a gold medal, and with playing great teams in the mix of it, in the thick of it, right, and beating Canada, dethroning the kings of the sport. That is Canada, and Austin Matthews is the captain of the team. He's the leader of the team, and he played well, I thought, the entire tournament, and obviously had to be a great leader to guide these guys. And Quinn just topped it off by saying, yeah, when the Toronto media talks about Austin Matthews, you talk about him like that, a winner, a champion.
I thought you were going to say also he just throws in during that press conference. He's pointing to his Corona. I think it was a Corona or Modelo that was at the tournament.
It was a Corona.
Corona. Yeah. And he's like, hey, like right there. It was the funniest thing.
It's incredible. And him and Hellebuyck and Jack again were interviewed too. And they were obviously just hammered post-closing ceremonies. And you're like, you know what? It's just awesome. And they were so proud to win it for the country. And like it just felt so big. It just felt like the moment was so big. And I think I've watched that Jack Hughes goal probably 75 times, maybe more. And the celebration that happened right after, it's just one of those things you don't know if you're ever going to see something like that again.
Probably not.
And that's why I let off the whole thing with it is probably my best sports moment that I've ever witnessed was what happened yesterday in the gold medal game. Like it was just so incredible. I think I cried a couple times. It was just awesome. It was great to see the U.S. finally win. Of course, the women winning. Was that Thursday or right? Yeah. And great, super happy for them. The women won 8 years ago. Yeah. So it's not as if they've never won before. They've won twice in the time that the men haven't won any. Yeah. So I'm happy for them. I'm glad we swept, and it's great. But the men winning is a huge deal, like a massive deal. And we are the best hockey team in the world for the next 4 years. And that I got to say that feels awesome. It feels great.
And it's just the fact that like we also beat the Canadians at their sport.
Yeah.
Like when you look at the greater realm of American sports, hockey does not rank among the best. No. It's football, basketball, baseball. And that's it. And it's pretty easy, top three. But you just did it in hockey, which is an ever-growing thing in America for sure. Like the NHL and its increased relevance shows that. Like they were at 30 teams only 6 years ago, and now they're at 32, right? So it's a really big thing for America too. And I think a lot of young hockey players right now watched that Jack Hughes goal and watched the game against Canada and said, I want to be like that. I want to do that one day and play for the United States of America. And that's pretty freaking cool, man. Like and as an American who, is not that young person who's going to play hockey, I could tell you that it's a little too late for me but I felt that. I felt like the energy just as how patriotic that team was. And it's just amazing. It's amazing, that feeling. And you don't really get it anywhere else, I think.
I don't think you could have asked for better representatives of a country that wins a gold medal for the first time 100%. In 46 years. I don't think you would want to change out any single person on that team. It was just one that's why it's just going to go down even more memorable than them just winning gold. Like
Agreed.
everyone on that team, like I'll always love Austin Matthews now. I'll always love Jack Hughes. I'll always love Quinn Hughes.
Yeah.
Connor
And Connor
Hellebuyck.
Hellebuyck.
Connor Hellebuyck is someone that I'm like, nah. But now Connor Hellebuyck is going to be probably the greatest American goaltender ever and is now a champion. Just like Austin Matthews' narrative, you can no longer say that about Connor Hellebuyck.
Yeah.
And he played a critical role in winning that game and winning the entire Olympics just in general. So it's just one of those things where you're so happy for those guys that haven't been able to figure it out yet, but they're just not on the Blues. So we just generally don't care as much about it. But when they throw on the Stars and Stripes, like I said before, they throw on the USA in the front, all of a sudden you're caring a lot more about their success. And it feels great that they're able to do it and represent us while doing it.
Yeah, Connor Hellebuyck for me, and I said it earlier, like this is a big moment for him, not only for his status as a, professional goaltender, like, and how he's going to go down in history. But if he gets a Stanley Cup, man, then for sure he is the best American goaltender of all time. But it's just tough because the guy just has been robbed by being on just kind of a team that can't really get anything going up north. So I'd love for him to be a St. Louis Blue. We'll see if that happens. I would like to support him more along his journey, but that's a story for another day. But yeah, I think, by the way, the one thing we didn't say though is that what's the consensus on the Jordan Binnington goal, or the Jack Hughes goal on Jordan Binnington?
Oh, I never really even thought about it. I really just
I didn't hear many Canadians talking about it, so I
didn't either. I thought he played well enough. The funny thing about this whole thing, though, is that there's just a large contingent of Blues fans, which is, I guess it's fine. Yeah. But they really, really wanted Binnington to win a gold medal. And I'm like, I just don't understand why. Like, I understand why you want him to be successful, like selfishly, just being a Jordan Binnington fan just in general. But it certainly does not strike me as something that should be wanted and asked for when he's on the opposite side of the United States winning a gold medal for the first time in 46 years. Yeah. So that to me was always kind of a head scratcher. And, I didn't want Binnington to play badly per se, but I certainly didn't want him to win. So, it's a bummer that he won't be able to add a gold medal to his resume. It's a disappointment for him in his career and his legacy, but he's a Stanley Cup champion for the St. Louis Blues. That's generally all I care about. So
and that's good enough too. Yeah. Like obviously you'd like a gold medal. My one thing is too with this is I don't think you can ever have an Olympics without NHL players from now on. I think there needs to be a really come to Jesus moment with the NHL and the Olympic Committee and everybody else involved, where it's like, hey, I hope we realized here how many young people we inspired, whether you're an American, whether you're a Canadian, whether you're anybody else around the world, even a Slovakian, by the way. Sure, if you're a Slovakian kid, I think it's good too. But the amount of people that were watching this, the viewership, and just how entertaining these games were, 2030 comes around, you have to have NHL players there. You just do. Because it's not going to be the same thing. In terms of viewership, like I don't even know like if we'd cover it like we did this year. Like 2022, you couldn't even tell me who was on that Olympic team for the U.S. By the way, I'll give you a hint: Brock Faber was on the team, but nobody knew him then. He wasn't even in the NHL.
Yeah.
So that needs to happen. That needs to be figured out. I hope it does soon too.
It really, really helps Americans know more players. Like I'm talking about myself as well. Like I don't know much about Boldy. I don't know much about Matthews. I don't watch Toronto. I just see, how he can light up the scoreboard. I'm not watching Toronto games unless it's on national television.
Yeah.
So it's like you don't get exposure to a lot of the American-born players that are on different teams outside of your own local team in the NHL. And it's really awesome to get exposure also just outside of that, different countries' players as well. So, I think that's going to be really important, but there's always going to be the question, Josh Morrissey gets hurt, right? So I don't know how long he's going to be out. You had Crosby get hurt a couple of days ago. So, I mean, you don't really know how NHL owners are going to feel about people getting hurt in their respective. But so far, I don't really know of any significant injuries that happen in this Olympics, unless I'm not thinking about it
That's it,
correctly.
though. That's it. There was the Crosby Morrissey one.
Yeah.
That was the
And it
big
seems
one.
like Crosby's going to be back within the next week or two, so that won't be a big deal for Pittsburgh. But yeah, I don't know. I'll be curious to see what they do in their collective bargaining agreement, and it has to be a lot for the players to play. What would they play 6 games?
Yeah,
And
the
the
Americans did. Yeah,
in the stretch of like 8 days, 9 days.
tough.
So that's a really difficult, toll, physical toll on the body. But if we can make it happen, we obviously should, because this was just too much fun.
Yeah, I agree. And the Blues are, at least most of the Blues team's going to be rested, so that's going to be good.
Yeah, maybe we just don't play on Thursday. Maybe we just don't do
Yeah,
this.
I'll be honest, guys. I'm not looking forward to this. I'm really not.
Because the trade deadline, the trade deadline's coming up really soon. Thomas is back, ready to go.
Oh, man.
Holloway's back, ready to go.
Yeah. Can you imagine Doug Armstrong right now?
Yeah. I just genuinely, I'm going to the game on Saturday, and I genuinely could not care less about what their outcome is going to be on Thursday night. They play the Kraken. I just once you watch the United States win a gold, and then you have to go to the second worst team in the NHL and watch them just stink the place up. It's just gonna be a really tough adjustment, but we'll get there. It just won't be immediate.
Yeah, but just imagine being Doug Armstrong. Not only did you win silver at the Olympics with, again, the best team ever assembled, I think, and you in terms of NHL talent?
No, I'm so excited. On Saturday they play. Guess who? The Devils.
Oh,
so we get to see Jack. I'm very excited about.
I want him
to
give score
that
4 goals.
Yeah,
I wanted him to score 4 goals against us.
He just pounds Bennington for 7 goals.
There's no way they start him on Thursday. But that's
Saturday.
Oh wait, so they probably
they could start him on Saturday.
Oh my gosh, that'd be hilarious. Yeah, Doug Armstrong's got a lot of thinking to do now. He needs to get rid of the jet lag from Milan, and then hop on that computer and start really getting some trades done, because we got some work to do.
I haven't even thought about him. It's been so great. Oh my gosh. Wow.
But now you do. See who hits the road next, Jack. But anyway, that'll be a story for another day, for another episode. But thanks for tuning into all this Olympic coverage. And by the way, Nick, I don't know if you noticed, but your reel at 6:30 in the morning generated 30,000 views.
I saw it.
So congratulations on that. And all the work that you put in for the "Oh Mama, Don't You Cry" song. That was awesome.
I think I did that chant 35 times. It was crazy. Oh my gosh, I love that chant though. It's great.
No, it's a catchy chant, and performed really well, and practiced and rehearsed really well too. I could tell. But yeah, the Olympic coverage is over, but boy, we enjoyed it, to get a fresh glimpse of some good hockey from the United States. Gold medal winners forever. We'll never forget it. Nick, and probably mine, all-time sports moment, no doubt about it for us. But this will be it. We'll be back to Blues very soon. Got a lot of work to do there, on the other hand. So, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Until then, we will see you very soon. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you for the next episode.
See you guys.